You did it. Nice. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how are you doing, Mila?
I am doing so good. I am doing a lot better. I'm figuring things out over here. Thank you for asking. Oh, thank you.
I feel like it's been like what, like a month or so since we've
Mm-hmm.
collabed on the YouTube.
Been way too long. Yeah.
But we talk outside of YouTube, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mila is like a friend of mine. I consider you a friend at least.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I feel the exact same way. Yes, ma'am.
Can you
By
hear
the
my
way,
pug?
love
Can
the
you hear my
love.
pug over here just like grunting?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, sorry, that's my pug.
Okay. By the way, love the book. Highly recommend it. It's
Thank you.
beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's like I told you, it like the energy from it just instantly took me into flight. Literally. It's amazing.
What did you like about it?
I haven't read the whole thing. Um, but I feel like it's easy to follow. A lot of good tidbits and stuff in there, just information wise, which is what you always provide to everybody. Um, but the spirit behind it, and I've heard you talk about the spirit that inspired that book. It inspired the book. And so maybe that's the spirit that I'm picking up on. It's very beautiful and calming and peaceful and serene.
I mean, the spirit that inspired it was like the owl woman.
Interesting. That must be the spirit that I am talking about then, because you can definitely sense that.
Hmm. It's very like owl woman. It's very like Strega. It's very like Lachusia. It's very Lilith.
Hmm.
And she's actually the spirit that I pacted with to write that book. And there's a whole chapter specifically on her.
Wow. I haven't gotten that far yet. Honestly, I've been extremely super busy, extremely like it's been crazy, and I don't like crazy. I don't, you know, but I'm looking forward to it, when I continue reading it. And I saw you have it in hardback now too. I saw that on.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I know. Well, I love it, and it instantly. It's going to help a lot of witches. It is. It's going to help a lot. Not just reading the words, but just the.
See, because it's some witches that are like, oh my God, I can't believe that you're like writing about this. Like, this is so dangerous. Like, that you're talking about like witch flight and ba 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 ba. And I'm like, okay, well, then don't do it then.
Is it why? I wonder why they say that. Is it now? I will tell you that I've been talking about a lot. Um, Protection from traveling entities and witches and stuff. I've been talking about that a lot, but I think that it's important for people to know, um, keeping information from people is not going to necessarily protect them, you know? So what do they mean it's
That
dangerous? Or
part, that part.
are they talking about astral travel itself or
Yeah, like, oh, astral travel is dangerous and like, they're going to bring bad stuff to them by doing it. And
mm-hmm.
Which
That's
here's my thing.
ridiculous.
Where in my book did I say this is a how-to to
Mm-hmm.
fly? I never said that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I said this is my flight journal. These are my experiences,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. Like, I'm not trying to teach anyone how to fly, you know?
Right.
So,
That's something that.
and people need to use their own discernment, which is
Mhm.
not something that's common. Common
Right.
sense is not common
It
at
can
all.
be um it can be dangerous, especially like if you travel like to someone and I haven't gotten that far, but like I said, I don't think that you're even discussing it from that perspective, because I think that if, like, okay, let's say that it's someone traveling into someone's space and they don't want astral travelers because especially if they're a medium and they can sense stuff or somebody's attacking them. It can be dangerous in that perspective because there are people that have wards and traps. But I think that as long as you're using it, for.
Well, and it's also like other worlds and spirits too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And there are some spirits that can be dangerous. And I think that's the flip side of the coin, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
that there's some witches that think that everything is love and light and that nothing can hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the flip side of the coin.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, if that's what protects them, as long as they are not sitting at home and suffering in silence, okay. If that's, I think it depends on what position that you're in on the chessboard, okay.
I mean, I feel like there are some spirits though that like specifically even target witches.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
So, I mean, I don't think that witch flight is without its danger, but I mean,
I
I'm
mean,
not
do you
responsible for.
mind elaborating on that though, like as far as spirits attacking witches?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I kind of talk about it like in the book.
Do
Um,
you? Okay.
but I do think that there are different virtues like
Mm-hmm.
death, life, order, chaos, light, darkness, right? Just like there are earthly terrestrial elements like earth, air, fire, water. Um, and I think that there's also void. And
Mm-hmm.
void is a corruption of the virtues. So you can have life corrupted by void, you can have death corrupted by void, you can have order or chaos corrupted by void. Um, and there are spirits that are in alignment with the oblivion or the void that seek
Mm-hmm.
to destroy magic, like that have a vampiric thirst for
Mm-hmm.
magic. Um, and so, like, if you pull up my book, I talk about like Zagrat or Yug or Surrogate, which are some void spirits that come to mind, but also Dokar,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which are spirits that like want to drink the blood of witches.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Um, and so, sure, like, are there dangers in traveling to the other world? Yeah, of course there are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I think that it can be a very useful um, addition to anybody's craft, especially depending on who you are, and what it is that's happening to you. Because I know that I have learned a lot just simply by having an intuition about certain things that were happening to me. Like I used to constantly feel like presences here, and since then I've done a lot about that. Um, a lot. And so I think as long as people are actually, traveling, using it for actually going, because I've been astral traveling for years, and I would go to these places, that were places of healing. Um, little secret places that I have sort of tucked and locked away, kind of in my mind. And, as far as traveling to people, it's very useful. I've actually everybody knows I'm a mom. I have 4 children and a grandbaby, and I've had to use astral travel quite a bit to go and protect them. So, I think that everything has its good and its bad. And sometimes you have to take the good with the bad, you know?
Well, and it's some people out here trying to make it seem like the book is dangerous for practitioners.
No, I think they're just hating. What area or genre of witchcraft would you consider astral travel to be in? It wouldn't be folk magic, right?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of overlapping. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I prefer to use the term witch flight because I feel like that's like a very traditional witch sort of verbology, if you
Yeah,
will. Like
yeah,
astral travel or astral projection gives more of like a shamanic or a new age sort of
yeah.
connotation. And I feel like witch flight,
It's more witchy.
it,
Yes.
it gives the idea of, ripping our spirit from our body, shape shifting and flying out to the Sabbath and traveling the other worlds,
Yeah.
which is what I'm talking about. Um, and when you look at astral travel or astral projection books, you'll find a lot of beginner like how to, but like none of those authors are talking about what they actually do once they do it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so here's a astral travel 101, but then what?
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I felt like Vittoria Maria, the owl woman spirit from the book, pushed me to write this book because she's like, no, talk about the other world. And
Yeah.
this is something that a lot of traditional witches do experience, like the hollowed woods, for example. How
Mm-hmm.
many of us witches have found ourselves in a feral, untamed woodland? Many of us have.
Right.
Have we all called it the hollowed woods? Maybe not, but it's a place that we've been to, that we
Yeah.
recognize.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just got to tell you that I think that it's good. If you can find a place of healing, because I've used it just for that purpose, and it's been a while since I've been able to just let go like that. And reading your book absolutely helped, and that's why I said I'm wondering if it is that owl lady's spirit, because I felt very safe. I made it back to my body just fine. I didn't bring anything back with me. And so, like I said, I haven't gotten that far into it, but is it pointers on that in the book as far as like not bringing things back with you and things of that nature, or what do they think it's like holy
Somewhat.
water or
There
something?
there there are some protections and there are some recipes in the back of the book.
Hmm. You know what, Jasmine? Sometimes, and I've tripped on this a couple of times. Sometimes I've felt like I've gotten pulled into another world, and like I'm here, like it's Earth. It looks like it's my house. It's but I feel like something is a little off to where I'm in a paradox.
Mhm.
And it's not me, it's because I've had those experiences being a very young, intuitive person. And I'll tell you about that in a second. No, this wasn't like that. This pretty much discovery, it and so is that something that Witch Flight can help people with? Because sometimes I think, can I get back to where I'm supposed to be? Because what is this? you know, and I think that and so
I don't know. Sometimes I think that traveling to the other world can, muddy the waters.
mhm. But what if you wake up and you feel a certain way and it's not how you normally feel and you're like, wait a minute, like what if you sometimes we are being pulled into these paradoxes, almost like,
Oh, sure. I mean, there's
yeah.
times where we go into a dream state where we're actually flying, not
Mhm.
just dreaming. Sure.
Yeah. Years ago, um we were at grandma's house, and this was in KC Mo, and we were all sitting there with family. We were all playing cards or whatever, and I smoked a lot of marijuana back then. Like I'm talking about, like I was constantly,
Ew.
oh my god, girl, I was bad back then. I'm a lightweight now, but I was just like, oh, ooh, oh, it's raining outside. Oh, that was my favorite time because I'm a pluviophile. Um, but I'm sitting there, I'm standing there, and all of a sudden I feel like I'm very far away from everybody. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It was so weird. And I think it's one of those experiences because I've never felt that way. It was almost like being awakened, but almost like that feeling that you get when you have sleep paralysis. And I used to have sleep paralysis a lot too as a kid. But like I was standing there, and it was just like, why do I feel so far away? I was standing right because we were playing it was either Jill of the Jungle. That was years ago. Like, remember Jill of the Jungle and Aladdin? No, was it Aladdin? Arabian Night? It was one of them games or whatever. And we were playing it on the computer, and then all of a sudden I just felt very far away. And it was so weird. And I think it was like a sign, like you got some spiritual gifts, because I literally had to. I felt like I had to put myself back into my physical body. It was very weird and scary at the same time. It was awful. And so I think that it's good for people to um know that. I'm not going to really get into things that could possibly cause like a problem or controversy, but like I've heard of people saying that like if they have schizophrenia or stuff like that. And I've never had schizophrenia, even though I've went through my paranoia times, because like I said, I used to smoke a lot of weed. But it was just so like bizarre the way that I felt, and I've never felt that way before, or after that. I had never felt that before or after that. It was only one time that I've ever felt that, but it was the scariest thing ever. It was almost like death, but I didn't die, or maybe I did. I don't know. Are we in the afterlife? Oh goodness. Yeah, so that right there. So I think that it's good to get to know your own mind. You know what I mean? That's something that I think that a lot of people should focus on is just getting to know their own mind. And I feel like witch flight or astral projection is a good way of doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And or are you thinking about writing more books about psychism and stuff like that, or have you yet? Or
So, I'm actually working on extending the Liber Spiritus from the Witch Flight book.
hmm
So, the Witch Flight book is like kind of an introduction to witch flight, and then it's like some journal entries about witch flight, and then it's a Liber Spiritus, which that book has 86 spirits from the other world cataloged in like a 14th century grimoire style. And then
hmm
it also has like recipes, rituals, and prayers. Um, but right now, I'm working on a manuscript to extend the Liber Spiritus.
okay.
And I'm taking submissions from witches who have worked with the spirits, the 86 spirits from the Witch Flight book, um, or who have ventured through the hollowed woods or have been to Asalia or Grydell or Mitni or Dokar. Um, and Mila, I want a submission from you. I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
Okay, I will. I promise, girl. If you only knew the crazy that I've been dealing with.
Well, our
Oh
submissions,
my God.
so the submissions close the end of January.
Okay, so I got plenty of time. Okay.
Yeah, you got like a month and a half or
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. That's cool. I'll definitely do that. I just I've been working on psychic defense a lot because it just I'm gonna be honest with you. I sometimes absolutely hate my spiritual gifts.
I feel that.
And I really hate being an empath. Feeling what other people feel like I've learned how to just shut it off, shut it like no. Yeah, I can't. I can't with that. You know what I mean? Like because sometimes people will be feeling, like and I don't like that. I don't like that feeling. Like I'm more of a carefree type of person, you know. And I do my magic like that too. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
there's been a few times I've done rituals to where I've just been like all wound up and just like, and just, but 99% of my rituals are done in a very, very, very lucid, relaxed state. All of them, basically, you know, because I feel that if I don't stay calm, then that's not going to be good. That's going to unground me, and I just like to stay grounded, and I feel like any other way is being ungrounded. And I've never been the type of person to get angry, and hopefully nobody ever makes me that angry to where I know I could go there like during a ritual. uh but it just, I don't know.
Well, can I share this video with you
Yeah.
and with you all in chat? Oh, please. Oh, please.
Okay.
Okay, can you guys see that?
Yeah, I can see it. I'm just gonna mute while I stuff my face.
Okay,
Beautiful.
period.
Yeah,
What do you
I
think?
loved it. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful. I love all the monsters and yeah. Was that Sir Nono's?
Yeah, it was like the Green Devil.
Mm, nice. I'm definitely gonna get on that one.
Okay.
Hmm.
What are you eating?
Oh, I'm so sorry if I'm chomping in your ear.
Don't be sorry. I want to know what you're eating.
Okay, so remember when we talked earlier and you were like, no bacon, Jamila.
Right.
But it's bacon wrapped chicken.
Girl.
Yeah, I know. I know. And then some green beans, those creamed green beans that I was telling you about. And they got cheese on top and then a garlic bread. Hmm.
Okay, I love that though.
Yeah, that's pretty much that's it. Drumsticks. They were delicious, by the way, very bacony. I noticed you were talking about bacon. I
I'm
don't
going to
know.
post a link down below for anyone who might be interested in sending a submission for the extended Liber Spiritus. It's the tinyurl.com/flybabes right here.
Oh my God, I was so hungry. So, what are your plans for Christmas or Yule? Hey, you know what? Okay,
What?
this may be a little controversial.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so witches that don't do the Sabbaths, it kind of bothers me. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't know if it's a Hecate thing. It's so weird.
What do you
Um,
mean?
it just when I don't know, like I feel that witches should be
Keep the Sabbath.
excited about the Sabbaths and stuff,
Right.
and just be in the spirit. And I don't know if it's just something that's going on right now because everybody's so upset about
Anti,
everything.
like anti Sabbath.
Yeah. And I love it. It's so, oh my God, especially this one. Especially this one. Oh goodness.
Yeah, it's magical for sure.
It is very, and I just want to say, if you're a witch out there and you're listening and you may be in kind of a funk, like literally make yourself do something Yule, okay? And you never know.
So, what are things that you do for Yule?
Um, I'm always doing a group. Um, but I do a lot of burning of Yule logs, or just burning. I just burn stuff like just seriously. It's a lot of burning, but as far as like, it's very basic,
Mhm.
but I do honor the Yule gods and make those plans, set those goals for the new year coming. Um, and so I don't really do anything per se. I do decorate a Christmas tree. Um, and I don't know, like that cider you were showing me, I want to get some of that for
Yes, the
Christmas.
wassail.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna be honest with you, I do this kind of the same thing that I do for Samhain, which is I get my rituals, I do my offerings, and then I kind of watch something Christmassy. I know that sounds, or I'll just like watch horror movies because I'm into horror movies. Kind of boring and basic, but
I
yeah,
mean, that's
that's
not
pretty much.
boring.
Yeah.
I think lighting a Yule log is a very magical thing. Like
Mhm.
finding a log out in your natural area,
Mhm.
decorating it with things in your area, and like melting taper candles on top of it and burning it all night long. Um, Also keeping like a vigil fire.
Mhm.
So, on Mother's Night or Solstice Night or any of the 12 days from now until New Year, um,
Mhm.
burning a candle overnight, like
Mhm.
actually staying up all night long,
Mhm.
lighting the candle when the sun goes down, and then extinguishing it when the sun is up.
Right. Yes.
That's
Mhm.
actually like a magical thing.
Mhm.
Um, I think decorating a Christmas tree can be very magical too. Like, I know that some
Mhm.
people have like Abrahamic trauma around it and they're like, oh, like that's a Christian thing. It's not. It's
No.
definitely,
Yeah.
I mean, pagans were bringing evergreens into their house to like bring spirits into their home,
Mhm.
and evergreen trees specifically represent the goddess and immortality and everlasting life.
Mhm.
And winter solstice was and still is a time of illness and sickness and famine and plague. And
Mhm.
warding against those things is wise.
That's exactly what I said. And I don't, and then not only that, it's just that pure joy, even if you don't have a lot of money, I feel like spirits just kind of, and we don't want that to happen. Like, no, no, we're going to get rid of that spirit. No, spirit of lack, but just feeling those spirits. And I feel that for some reason, I don't know why it's connected to my heart chakra. And I just, typically around that time of the year, especially the past 4 years of my practice, I've been very avid about, the solstices and stuff. And it just gives you that warm feeling in your heart. And it's a good feeling. And that's why I do it. That's why I purposely do something for, especially Yule. But it seems like people are not in the spirit anymore. It's very sad. I just, it's just like, oh, yeah. And I know that we have election time around this time. So maybe that's why. I don't know. It just seems like,
Well, and not all witches keep the Sabbats either.
mhm.
Like some witches feel like it's too Wiccan to do that.
Yeah,
And like Wicca or Wiccan has become kind of like a dirty word.
I know. I know. I've noticed that, but it's not Wiccan at all. To me, it's not. It, I don't know. I guess my thing about it is that I just feel that it is something else that's doing that, and I feel like it. I feel personally that it's, I don't know, people being in kind of a funk or something, and not like what I feel a lot is people not being in the witchy spirit, not just the Sabbath spirit. Like I feel like that witchy spirit, so something's going on with that. Like, and it's scary. It is. And the only place that I actually got that was in social media. So I follow as many witches as possible. A lot of the witches that I was watching previously, they don't really make a lot of vlogs. Um, but just, the whole thing with being a witch has been like, it's like we've lost the joy of being a witch, period. And I just, it makes me sad, you know?
Well, I think like tying it back to the Sabbats, I mean, I think that as witches, connecting ourselves to the cycles of the earth and
Yeah.
the seasons and the shifting of those seasons and the cycles of the moon, like what's not witchy about that? Like
Right.
I also don't really understand witches that like just completely disregard the lunar cycles or the
Hmm.
Sabbats. Like
Yeah.
unpopular or controversial opinion, but
Yeah.
like how are you connected with the natural shifting of the earth and moon if you're not
Yeah.
holding as bats and Sabbats?
Yeah, and I gotta bring this up, witches that are saying things like, "Oh, the moon is fake, the sun is fake." Like, what? Oh, it's scary. It's scary. It's
Yeah,
like,
that's
honestly,
crazy.
I just
And
want to go.
I like also too what the monastery is saying here. I wonder if people who don't observe them because they have Wiccan trauma, like Abrahamic trauma, but like Wiccan trauma. You know,
Right.
I've never thought of it that way.
What is the deal with Wiccan? Because I've never been Wiccan. I mean, but what is the deal with that? Because I must not have been here when it was all being done and said or something. But what is the, like? Is it like religion or something?
Yeah, Wicca is a religion. It's kind of like and this is controversial of me to even speak on this, but
Uh-huh.
it's basically BTW. It's like British traditional witchcraft.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So us here in America, like we do things a little differently.
Yeah.
Obviously, like the Boston Tea Party, we're like, fuck that shit.
Hmm.
Um, but a lot of people, especially a lot of white people, come into witchcraft through Wicca.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I mean, that one other point I was going to bring up, and I don't know if you had any opinions of this, but do you feel that it's being overdone? Like when I say that, when I say that people that are like, I constantly do witchcraft every single day. And it's just, these are things that I'm doing for my family or my home or my clients. But when it's in particular in social media, like people at war, that to me, that war thing, I guess it could be it's definitely a witchy thing, but I think that it's being overdone. Like people just sort of, just I don't know. Maybe I'm getting my wires crossed or something, but I feel like another thing is that could be happening with a lot of the witches is burnout, because especially in social media, because of all of the drama and feeling like, because I was hearing some other
Wait,
witches.
are you saying that there's like drama in the witchy world?
Oh my God,
There's
yes. Yes.
drama?
Can you believe it? Like, I'm
Oh my
shocked.
gosh. There's drama?
Why can't there be drama without people saying, hey, I'm going to throw something at you? Like, okay, if, like for me, here's how I am. If
I'm
I
shocked. I can't believe there's drama.
if I have a disagreement with somebody, and it's like, well, okay, I don't like you and you don't like me. Okay, fine. Let's part our ways, right? I'm not going to try to throw a curse at them because we don't agree. But I feel like that right there is being done a lot. And I feel that people kind of like they got trigger happy. Like it's like, oh, a new toy. Let me play with it until the battery runs out. And it's just like, no. And then I think also even people that don't think that they're doing something, they're doing things. And I think that people should be careful with that. I'm actually careful about what I say. Like I used to be a person that had loose lips, you know, and I just, I'm careful about the words that I say because I don't want to hurl something at somebody. You know what I'm saying? And it just seems like people
No,
have
you're better than me. You're better than me because I'll heal in
sis.
hell.
No, like
I'll
I'm
heal in
serious.
hell.
Sis, you know how I am. I was telling you how I am. Like I like my peace. I do. I've always been that way. Like going back to when I said that I used to smoke a lot of weed, like I can't smoke weed when it's a bunch of drama going on. I can't do it because I'm like, man, I'm trying to sit here and vibe. I'm trying to vibe and like and I'm, and with all that drama, like I just don't like it. Like, oh my God, like what is the problem? And when I first broke out, when I broke through, when I came out of the broom closet, like I cleansed myself for 3 years straight. Like I was like I ain't projecting on to nobody, like I ain't and it just seemed like it's a lot of trauma, and that's what's being put into the community, and then not enough about healing. And I think that people, and this is another controversial thing that I'm going to say, is that like when it comes to people and their nervous system and their nerves being bad, um I'm not saying that there's no need for medication. I'm not saying that in some cases, but I feel like a lot of those things, like religious trauma, Wiccan trauma, any kind of trauma, I feel that you
I'm
can
trying to get
heal.
my brother in the craft
Uh-huh.
monastery monk to hop up on here because I feel like they would have some good insight on
Okay.
the Wiccan trauma specifically.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm
so
I
I'm
like to
trying to
know what
get
this
them
is
up on
about.
here, but I feel like they're kind of shy too, and there's no reason to be shy. You
Yeah,
can
I
keep
don't
your
bite
camera off
nobody. Not
too.
hard. I don't bite.
Right, right.
Oh goodness. Yeah, like I don't like, what is that? Because I don't know. Like I've been hearing that Wicca is kind of like a dirty word, but as far as trauma, now I can tell you about some religious trauma. Oh my god. And you know what, being an empath, I know for a fact that there's a lot of religious people that are traumatized, and it's like when I come across those people, I'm just like, why do you do that? Why are you harming yourself? Why do you hate yourself? Because I can feel it. It's like hurt and pain, and it's
And I
like,
feel like you could also smell it on people too.
oh god, yeah.
Like despair and trauma
Yeah.
and like heartache. Because I don't really consider myself an empath, but I do consider myself like a vampire. And I feel
Mhm.
like empath and vampire, we're related because we're in the same energy. We're
Oh
the same
yeah.
coin. We're just two different sides. Because, like, what does an energy vampire do? We suck energy.
Mhm.
What does an empath do? It's filled with energy.
Mhm.
Like, and that's the ugly truth, right? That people don't
Mhm.
want to hear because people are like, oh, energy vampires are narcissistic and horrible, and empaths are like wounded healers. But to be an empath, you kind of have to be an energy vampire. Let's
Mhm.
call a spade,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know?
I consider, you know what? I'm going to say this. I do feel like a vampire witch, but I feel like it's only 10% literally of my work. I feel like the rest of it is traditional. And I'm coming from a vamp, like, honestly, can I be honest? I like the I like blood. I
I do too.
Yeah. And I've been craving blood, like I've been craving steak tartare for years. So I think that vampires, literally, that's what they do. They like blood.
Well,
Um,
there's different types of vampires too.
that's
There's
true.
like
Yeah.
sanguine vamps, there's
Yeah.
energy vamps, there's hybrids. There's also like incubitic or succubitic or like sexual vamps. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's crazy to me how the witch community is so anti-vampire when there's
Hmm.
so many vampires in the community. And it's crazy to me in the
Yeah.
vampire community because a lot of people in the vampire community will like look down their nose at witches. Um,
Hmm.
but there's plenty of vampires that practice witchcraft.
I feel like I literally have 10% vampire DNA on some level. My mother actually wrote a book. She wrote a couple of books called The Vampire Saga. And she actually wrote me into the book. It was very strange, but um
I would love to read those.
oh, I'll link them to you. Yeah. Yeah. She actually wrote those books, and I think that she wrote those books to try to tell me something, and I still haven't listened, but um like I think that people kind of think that being a vampire is being more so parasitic, and I don't think that that is what that is. They feel like being vampiric is just like eating people, and vampires are actually very healing. So I guess it would depend on, you know, like for me, I do consider myself to practice traditional witchcraft, but I do think that my vampiric 10%, kind of what it does is it helps me as far as with defense. It helps me be more untouchable, more so like it's a protection thing.
See, I feel like vampirism as a witch, I don't know why more witches don't tap into vampirism because,
Mhm.
when we are conjuring the powers of the elements or of spirits, is that not vampiric?
It is. It is. I
Right.
just
And if you use your own energy for that, is that not questionable? Okay, monk, are you here? If you use your own energy for that, is that not questionable? Okay, monk, are you here? Oh no, there's
I think
background
so. Can you
noise.
hear me okay?
Yeah, but there's some background noise, I think.
Oh,
Oh no, there's
I think
background
so. Oh,
noise.
God.
Yeah, but there's some background noise.
Yeah. Hold on.
Oh.
All right. Is that any better?
yeah.
Now I can't hear anything. Oh, God.
Yeah, but there's some background noise.
Yeah. Hold on. All right. Is that any better? Now I can't hear anything.
Can you hear me? Oh. Do you have like a headset or something?
Hold up. All right. Is that any better? Now I can't hear anything.
Can you hear me now? Oh. Do you have like a headset?
What's happening? Hold up.
I don't know. You might need like a headset or something, monk. So if you have that, maybe like figure that out. I don't know why it's echoing so bad, but I would love to have you on to talk about Wiccan trauma. But in the
Yeah, I
meantime,
would love to hear about that.
yeah, we'd love to have you on, monk. What kind of vampire is it to influence other energies? I've noticed I tend to do that. I would say that's like an energy vampire or a psi vampire.
Well, and you know what? I do think that vampirism does help to influence others. But for me, I just don't necessarily feel as though I make it like a huge part of my practice. You know what I mean? Like more so with me, I'm like charging herbs and salts and things of that nature because I feel that those things are helpful, very helpful and have been phenomenal in my healing. And um I just I kind of don't, I would say more so suck. I definitely have been accused of being a succubus before, but I don't really want to. Okay, he's back. Okay, let's see what.
Are you there?
I think so. Can you hear me all right now?
Yes, that's so much better.
Oh,
Yep.
good. I had the YouTube app up and it was playing in the background on my laptop.
Oh, well, that'll do it.
It sure fucking will.
So, talk to us about Wiccan trauma, monk.
Well, I don't really have any like trauma. Well, I do, but I guess that's like no, I don't know. So it was more of like eclectic stuff, and it was kind of just very, very Wiccan based. But it was like a splintering of a group I was in. Um, so I guess that's more coven trauma. But the Wiccan specific stuff, it kind of stemmed from Abrahamic trauma to begin with. So when I started looking into witchcraft, obviously Wicca was like the 101 to go to, I guess. So I started there and didn't really get what I was looking for. And over time, I realized that the letdown was more because it was so goddess centric and divine feminine. I was really looking for more of a replacement for a like demanding, controlling, divine masculine figure, because the divine feminine was literally like in the women around me as the spiritual leaders of the family, both in terms of like my grandmother would like read tarot cards and practice Reiki. She'd never call herself a witch. She was definitely a new ager. But then my mom was also the spiritual head of the house. Our pastor was a woman. My grandmother, my other grandmother, was was like the spiritual leader on my mom's side. The other one was my dad's side. So it was more of just like disenchantment with Wicca in a way, if that makes sense.
Huh. Yeah.
And Monk, how would you like define Wicca?
How would I? Gosh, how would I define it?
Because Mila was asking me earlier, like, what is Wicca? And I was like, British. It's like British. I don't know. I mean, I'm not.
I guess
there was a period of time where I was, you know, an eclectic Wiccan. Cringe. But
so, I guess
go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. It's weird because like I'm so used to hearing like voices coming from my computer and not just out of my mouth. So it's weird not hearing. Anyway, it's throwing me off a little bit. So
that we're real people interacting with people. Like,
well, I mean, not like without the faces and everything. I'm just not a good communicator in general. So
shut up.
I sound like a tattoo. You're a tattoo artist. That's very funny. I love that. I wish I was a tattoo artist. So defining Wicca, I think, is going to be really tough because there's a million different ways that it's practiced now. But basically, Wicca is when somebody that isn't a practicing witch says witchcraft, they most likely mean Wicca.
Wicca is also like the prodigy of Gerald Gardner.
Yes.
And even like Doreen Valiente to a degree, I would say.
Mm-hmm. And then it's very fertility based. So
it's very inspired by Thelema. Like it's very sex cult vibes.
Yeah. God. Oh my God. I've never been asked to define Wicca before. This is weird.
I know. I hadn't either until Yamila asked me to. And I was like, well, fuck. She's asking like the hard questions tonight. But that's why I love having you on, Mila, is because like we bounce off of each other, you know?
Yeah. I'm like, what's that? You know, yeah, let's get the discussion going. That's so, you know, he was mentioning groups and stuff, and oh God.
Covens are toxic.
Oh, goodness.
They are. And this is coming from a coven witch, coming from a high priestess.
I was going to say, says the high priestess.
Yes. Like covens are toxic and can be toxic.
Oh, my goodness.
And, you know, I get so many emails about like, how do I join a coven? I'm looking for a coven. Maybe don't. Maybe focus on yourself.
Exactly.
Maybe focus on yourself and focus on your own magic because like there's so many definitions of what a coven is. You know, I mean, I come from much more of like an ATW, AFW sort of background. So to me, like covenry is synonymous with sabbats, esbats, and high magic. But to some people, covenry is drinking wine around a bonfire and just having a kiki. And like, to me, that's not covenry. So if you're looking for a group of witches to just vibe with, that doesn't have to be covenry. Right. Covenry is for ceremonial work, and it's usually centered around esbats or sabbats. And really, traditionally, the coven would meet for a Sabbath right?
Mm-hmm.
Or for an equinox or a solstice. This very Wiccan idea of covens being this almost congregation is very new.
Mhm.
And as a high priestess, trying to run something like that is like herding cats.
Oh,
It
that would
really
It's
drive me
is.
real
insane.
difficult.
Oh, it's awful. It's
Yep.
terrible.
Oh,
Yeah. I ended up like I wasn't like the high priest. I was the scribe. But I ended up so just quick note. Our coven members, it was part in person, part virtual. I was like 300 miles away from most of the members of the coven. Um, and I would be the one a lot of the time trying to rally dates, times, who's going to do what, and all of that stuff while literally just sitting on my laptop trying to get everybody to do it. I can't imagine actually having to do that all the time for everything.
mm-mm. Wow. So is it? Oh, I. You know. Mm,
Okay, well, I will say this as a high priestess within a tradition, when we're all working within the same tradition, it's not as difficult because we all subscribe to a similar paradigm in a way. Um, and we all, sign our name in the black book and agree upon certain things.
Mhm.
So, yeah, also, like, I can't really relate to an online coven. I think having online traditions is one thing,
Yeah.
but like facilitating ritual and having the ecstasy of ritual over the internet just doesn't work, in my
I
Yeah.
would have to
opinion.
agree. Even
Agreed.
though I haven't really had much experience with either, I would have to agree with that. I couldn't even imagine.
Agreed.
I know it could happen, but it's just. I'm
Like
sorry. Go ahead.
I was one of two members that did it virtually because we lived in different states. So it was definitely different experiences. Like I would when we were able to actually get together, we would do rituals together.
And I
Um,
feel like at that point, Monk, like, sorry, I don't know if you can hear my pug
I love it.
breathing or not, but
I have two Frenchies. I love the breathing. It's fine.
but I feel like at that point, like, why not work on exalting you to third degree so that way you can run local groups?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of working out my own shit for myself as we speak. So
Exactly.
yeah, I'm getting there. But it gave me insight and it gave me experience to kind of run with and be like, okay, so this is good. This was dumb. Never fucking doing that again.
I prefer to practice alone.
I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it right now.
Yeah.
And I also practice like as a solitary um outside of the coven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um but I also of course practice within our coven tradition, which I feel like is so not popular right now to talk about, like talking about covenry, because I get it. Like a lot of people have trauma around covens, and rightfully so. It's kind of like how there's so many Christians that have church trauma. Like you have to find the right fit for you, and just because there's a church near you doesn't mean it's the right fit for you.
Right.
Right?
And
Kind of
that's
like
how
with
you
witches. Like, just because there's a coven near you doesn't mean that's the best fit for you. And also, as witches, we can start our own covens.
Mm-hmm.
right. And that's I liked and totally agree with your point on if somebody's looking for a coven, like figure yourself out first, because then you're going to find you don't want to just find a coven, you want to find the coven if you really want to. You can find a coven by Google searching coven groups, witchy groups near me, or just walking into your local witchy shop and asking a couple of times. But you want to find the right one. Like, I'm not going to go join a Wiccan coven. No shade to the Wiccans in the audience if there are any. But I'm not going to do that while I'm over here talking to Kane.
Uh-huh.
Well, and a lot of Wiccans don't even want to acknowledge any Abrahamic anything.
Right.
So.
Right. That's a different team. I mean, let's, and it depends on, I guess, Wiccans are very, I shouldn't say all of them. Some Wiccan groups can be very traditional in terms of who they accept. So there are some gay Wiccan groups, but if you're not traditionally masculine, then you're not like divine masculine or whatever.
And also there's like ATW groups that are like that too.
Oh, fuck off. Really?
Yeah.
Can I swear on lives? Is that going to like affect anybody's like money making or whatever?
I mean, Mila, it won't affect mine. Does it affect yours?
No, I cuss all the time.
I cuss too.
Right.
I cuss too.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as we don't say like, you know, something that rhymes with grape.
Yeah.
We're good on my channel. We just don't say like the hard R. Like,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, so they can be very traditional, but
That's also very like fertility cult, right?
Yeah.
Like having divine masc and divine femme. And that also goes back to like Thelema and like the Golden Dawn of like, you need to have a vessel and magic to fill that vessel to birth the Baphomet child.
Right.
So, and there are like in American traditional witchcraft, there is some fertility aspects to that. And so some groups, unfortunately, do take that to a very polarizing level. But I don't think that's American traditional witchcraft at its core.
Right.
You know, if we like trace our lineages back to Egypt, and if we look at the East Bank and the West Bank of Isis and of Egypt and of, you know, the cults of Isis, fumigating mummies and holding space for the dead and sort of serving as psychopomps of transformation and journeying to the other world and the underworld. That's one aspect. And then you have the fertility aspect of agriculture. And that's where a lot of magic stems from and has hailed from. And I feel like Wicca or BTW is very fertility based. And like, I feel like ATW is very death cult as opposed to fertility cult based. And all of this stuff is stuff that could totally get me in trouble for talking about. But I mean, there is some fertility within death, and there's also death within fertility, right? Like
exactly. And we need death. Death, I thank God for death. Honestly. When you think about the whole concept of death, it's not just about somebody dying, but it's about endings, you know, and cycles, and, you know, and then, you know, sometimes when I see certain people, you know, it's kind of like, well, thank God they're not suffering anymore. You know, it's like, seriously, you know, just the thought.
And sometimes death is a mercy too.
Oh my God. Yeah. And you know what? Like when I think about people that I don't like and stuff, like just thinking about them just being dead just makes me
But I mean, we can't really have life without death. I mean, even just looking out the window, like if the trees didn't shed their leaves and all those dead leaves didn't decompose to fertilize the soil and provide that nutrients, the forests would die. The predator
Right.
at
And I
the top
think
of the
another
food
Yeah.
difference too
chain.
is that, like, in Wicca or in like British magic, a lot of it revolves around the polarity of masculine and feminine. Like, it
Yeah.
revolves around sex
Mhm.
and breeding, literally. Um, and an ATW, like, it's not like our witch mother and witch father are two separate entities that don't rely upon each other.
Mhm.
Versus in Wicca, like the goddess births the god, raises him, and then mates with him, and then breeds with him, and then kills him, and he's reborn within her perpetually, forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't have that in ATW.
You know, the funny thing about it, Jasmine, is that when I was just thinking about Lilith, and she's big to me as far as with my relationship with her. She's real big on immortality too. Have you ever gotten that vibe from her?
I
So
mean,
it's
she's literally the eternal mother.
yeah, yeah. So that, and do you like? I feel that she struggles with death though. Lilith struggles with it. Like she doesn't necessarily want it to die, but more so to transform it or transmute it or something. You know what I mean? Or make it change form.
You mean kind of like death card vibe?
Yeah. Well, no, like when I don't know, like when you think about goddesses like Santa Muerta, it's kind of like death and taxes, but with Lilith, she kind of brings me immortality vibes all the time, like never ending, you know. I don't know. I've been smoking, so
I mean, I love looking at sort of the history of her and how she was a spirit of storms and tempests, and she was kind of like a harpy queen of Samaria before she was involved in the Abrahamic mythology. Like, she existed before then, and she was simply a spirit of wind and storms
hmm
well before she was ever a goddess. She was a harpy queen. She was a spirit of storms. And then she became the first woman and was like, I don't really want to be a bottom.
hmm
To put it in gay terms, she was like, I'm first. And Adam
hmm
was like, but I'm a top. And Lilith was like, okay, cool, but I'm a verse.
She came at him like you came from me. I didn't come from you.
She said, honey,
Perspective.
come for me, I conjure you, is what she said.
She said, "Where did you come from? Who sent you?"
And then, like, okay, so like in the Quran, the Lalitu were like succubitic harpies.
Hmm.
hmm
And then, like, in the Old Testament, Lilith was the first woman.
Yeah,
And like the New Testament, the Christians don't even know her name.
they
Talk to a
really
Christian, talk to a Christian, talk to a Methodist, talk to a Baptist, and ask them, who is Lilith? They're going to be like, girl, who is she?
they reduced her a whole lot to her significance, demonized her.
I think
Yeah,
the most common answer you'd get from Christians on her is, the seductress child killer.
which I don't connect with that at all. Um, she
No.
actually, when I initially started really connecting with her, it was something that really bothered her. She's like, no, I don't hurt babies. She's like, that's like, no. that is beneath me to do something like that.
Well, I think that comes from her association with actually abortion.
Mm-hmm. Possibly.
Like, I think that she can be all things. She can be a harpy queen, a Sumerian spirit of wind. She can be the first woman. She can be the mother of abominations. She can be the eater of children. She can be all of those things.
Uh-huh. But I feel like with as far as with abortion with Lilith, I feel like when I for some reason, and I was just talking about this, that Lilith is kind of like the surrogate mother of these children because she would rather that happen than a child come into a household and suffer. At least that's what I get from her. You know what I
Well, and
mean?
I feel like as like a queer person, I have always felt very drawn to her because she's called the mother of abominations. And
Yes,
like as a trans woman, as a queer person, as a pansexual, my entire life
and a
society has
witch.
told me, and a
Yeah,
witch too. Yeah.
yeah,
My entire life I've been told like you're an abomination.
yeah.
So why is it so horrible that I would go to the mother of abominations
Exactly.
Yeah.
and
As
exalt
Yeah.
her as the holy mother?
Yeah, and as a gay man, that's kind of how I feel about Babylon. She's also called the mother of abominations. We got a lot of mamas.
We sure
Yeah.
do.
Need them too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not gay or anything, but I am a witch. And she took me right in her arms because,
Well, I think she's also like a protector of women. Like, I don't think that you have to be
yeah.
LGBT.
Well, or a witch, and I think that she helps a lot of women, and she just doesn't even get credit for it, and probably doesn't even care,
I also think we're
if she
all a
gets
little
credit
gay.
or not.
Are we not all a little gay? So the Edge Witch says, Jasmine, what's the saying? It takes only one generation to rewrite history. I think that today's Christians would rather not speak of other gods than to even acknowledge others exist. But here's my thing: the Christian holy book acknowledges other gods.
Hmm.
Regularly.
The Christian holy book does acknowledge other gods. And they don't even know the name of the God that they follow. When you talk to Christians about Yahweh, they don't know who that is. They don't know who that is. Or when they talk about the gods of Egypt in the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
or when they talk about Diana.
Ashura.
Hello.
Even if my sources are accurate, even the passage in Isaiah where we get Lucifer from, Hillel ben Shachar, or Hillel and Shachar are two gods, the god of the morning and god of the dawn. It's all in there. There's even like the verse where God is talking amongst the council of gods. There's quite a few.
Does this, Jasmine, this is kind of a little off subject. Is this driving you crazy as well? Because it's driving me insane. Um, People that expect for you to not be a witch. And I want to say this to people that, like, when you see those videos, ex witch says this, and
Oh, I love those.
oh my God. Well, I love them to mock them, but I'm sorry. Like, do they not understand that we're born this way?
Well, also, a lot of those ex witch videos, they talk about, like, I was a I was a high priestess in witchcraft, and we sacrificed black cats to the god Samhain. And I'm like,
because the tarot card told us
the
to.
tarot cards, when I dabbled in it at 13 after my parents got divorced and I started smoking the devil's lettuce and listening to rock and roll. I'll pull up a video. Like literally
that whole
all of these testimonies follow the same script.
It irritates me because Christians and other religious folk are just
Are
expecting us
sick.
to change. And here's the thing.
Now hold on, Mila, because
Okay, I'm
like
sorry.
religious folk as in Christians.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're
Let's say
expecting
Christians.
for us witches to just convert to Christianity. But this is what I was going to say. I have always been a witch, and a lot of us witches understand how things are just like that, and the fact that we're actually practicing helps us put that chaos into perspective. And it's nothing worse than a witch that's not practicing. If you're a witch, ground yourself in it, and just instead of just having things just going all haywire. That's, you know what I mean? And how they expect us to say, well, I used to be a witch. That doesn't make any sense. It's not like it's not like a choice that you have, just like being gay. It's not a choice to me, to me it's not. Some people would argue that it is. It's not like you can just say, oh, I don't want to be a witch today, and like you're just going to change your mind. Some people, like what I did with my story, in my mid-20s, I walked away from witchcraft, but I came right on back 10 years later and refused.
And sometimes having babies, I feel like women have to refocus and like, I'm going to raise these babies and I'll come back to the craft.
Which is a mistake.
You think
That's
so?
a mistake as well.
You think so?
I do, sis, I do, because when I first got into it, my children.
But do you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of women will put witchcraft on the side because they're like, I got these kids to raise.
Maybe 10 or 20 years ago, that would have been okay. Maybe 20 years ago. But now, no. As a mother, I can honestly say that no. And I think that our witchy kids, they need to be used to us, to seeing us practice, and so that they can learn.
I don't know if I would raise my kids in like craft. I don't know.
Well, it's not necessarily, I mean, if they're not interested, you don't, it's not like you force them, but it's kind of like if it's a normal practice.
I feel like the more they know, the more it opens a whole other door that I would rather them just live,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I mean, eventually, I'm telling you, sis, they're gonna look back and they're gonna say, oh, I remember mom doing this, and I'm gonna try off of my memory. I'm gonna, and because to me, witchcraft doesn't, it's not supposed to make life miserable or worse. It's supposed to, for me, the experience that I had was that it made my life better.
Not Kat Von D. Now, hold on. I pulled up this video. If you guys want to watch a testimony.
Oh, God. I'm going to get ready to laugh.
It's from hating God and doing witchcraft to following Jesus. Are you guys ready?
Oh,
God. Yeah.
May the God Sam Hain be with us.
The God
for real.
Can you guys see it?
She looks like she dabbled in witchcraft. Look at her.
Christian family, like this is what's happening to me. I'm literally being able to see spirit. So that was my childhood. I was seeing all these spiritual things and I didn't understand. And as I said, I was going and telling Christian people what was happening to me, and they would just tell me it was my imagination. They had like no explanation for me. That kind of made me think in my mind, okay, well, my answer is not in the Christian church. I got deeper in LA into stuff. I would really be astral projecting and doing the manifestation, and I was going to the crystal shops on like Sunset. I was doing.
Oh
Okay, not
God.
doing manifestation. Not doing manifestation.
No, you wasn't, sis. No, you wasn't.
Not doing astral projection.
I feel like there's a lot to unpack in that 35-second clip. Like,
Okay, let's
but
get.
how could they
can we
how could
get
they say it's
to-
not real if it's like the ultimate evil force in the good book? Like, oh, it's not real, but it's our ultimate evil force here on Earth.
Okay, let's give it to like the 2-minute mark.
Oh no. Okay.
All of it, just infesting myself with this stuff. I got out of the shower, went on YouTube instantly, searched Jesus, saw hundreds of New Age to Jesus testimonies. No other stuff came up. I didn't know what New Age was. I
She
started
was
watching
having an
these videos
anxiety
for a
attack.
whole week straight. I'm watching them, boom, boom. Just all I'm consuming is that, and I was literally destroyed. It was the truth that I was always looking for. I finally got.
Oh my
I was
God. You know what?
and I was adopted from
Sis?
Earth. So
Jazzy. She got paid to say that.
This is a 49-minute video.
Girl, I ain't got that in me. I can't.
I can't either. Oh my God. Oh, I can feel the fear off of her.
This is Lindsay Smith. Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Oh.
Hey, Lindsay.
Can we get a Facebook search on her?
I don't have Facebook.
She, you know, she needs to go back to practicing witchcraft because,
That lace front is sick.
oh my God. You know what? I thought it was something funny about her hair. Poor baby.
Yeah.
She had an anxiety. You know what it was? She was having one of those energy shifts, you know, kind of like when she's about to manifest and it scared her. And she said, "Oh, Jesus, help me."
She said, let me get this full synthetic yaki hair.
Not the Yankee. Oh, God.
She said, let me put this t-shirt on with my yaki hair.
Goodness gracious.
Bless her heart.
She might be artificial intelligence too.
You think she's AI?
Possibly.
I don't think she's AI.
It sounds like an AI wrote the script, though.
It does. All of them do.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, really? Really? Because all of us witches know how amazing it is to be a witch until they come in with their freaking. It's like, stop it. It's like, what?
I want to know what the hating God part was. Does she talk about that?
I don't think we've gotten to that part yet.
True. There's 49 minutes.
But I don't see Lindsay Smith on Facebook, so
She doesn't exist.
well, hold on. Let's play a little bit more if you guys will entertain it.
Okay.
what happened was my birth parents, they got pregnant with me when they were pretty much high school, you know, probably around homecoming type of thing, like 16, 17 years old. And they obviously, you know, it was the South. It's kind of judgy whenever you get pregnant young. It's kind of like a bad look or whatever. So they were either gonna, you know, do the abortion type of thing or do adoption. And my birth mom was like, yeah, we're doing adoption. Like, we're not aborting a child. So my adoptive mom was actually all the way over on the East.
Right, because she's from the South. So
Mm-hmm.
they're not going to do all that, honey.
But this is the trauma they always start with. There's always some sort of large event.
We need to do a deep dive in like evangelist propaganda of using witchcraft for prophesizing.
Mm-hmm. It's like none of them talk about how people act like normally come into the craft, where it's like something's missing. I'm gonna go figure myself out.
Personally at all. Like there was no relationship that I had with him. So I ended up hating him and mocking him, telling everyone he's a fictional character and you guys are delusional and you're making stuff up and how can you just live out this fantasy that's not even real?
Wow.
Like why do you even go to church? Like I was a little demon.
Does she have a barcode tattoo on her
face
neck?
to your face.
Oh
Like,
God, maybe
it
she is
wasn't even
AI.
nothing
Is
for me
that
to
a
just be like,
barcode?
your God's not
Yep,
real
I
because
was
he's
gonna
not
say
sending to
something
answer
about that
prayers because there's
too.
all these spiritual things happening and no Christians can give me any answers. So what's the truth? There has to be a truth. So that's when I started looking for the truth. You can't find the truth in what you think is God, Jesus, the church, whatever. You're going to start looking outside the church. So I started searching for the truth. Sixth grade comes around, get into
Okay,
an
Rebecca.
abusive relationship, have to get a restraining order, start cutting myself. I was like now dealing with suicidal thoughts, tendencies, whatever. I would sleep with a knife under my pillow at the ripe age of 11. It was nuts. It
Girl,
was
not
so nuts.
11.
Like the guy was like, cut my initials into your arm. It was actually so crazy. It was crazy. Like that is like heightened. This is when the devil straight up started attacking for real because this was like kill yourself, kill yourself. You'd be better off dead. Like all.
Okay, I have
What?
a lot of
And
thoughts.
oh God. Well, I think that there's a lot of people that have thought about suicide. The world is pretty difficult, but
But why put that on the devil?
they always do. Yeah, ain't that weird?
The devil does not want you to kill yourself.
No,
The
No.
devil would
no,
much rather you survive out of spite.
exactly. I
That's
think that it's the relationship that they have with this Yahweh or Yahweh. He's whoever that God is not they're not they,
Mm.
that's some kind of alien or something to tell humans to hate themselves, like, I guess.
Well, Yahweh is a Mesopotamian or Sumerian war
Uh,
god. He's like Ares or Mars. So,
Mhm.
of course, that kind of god is going to demand subservience from his followers.
uh, uh, uh.
But I get the alien thing too. I do feel that.
Yeah, I feel like before religion the earth was a paradise. I do.
An Eden, a Jannah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like the angels are aliens. Like, look at the seraphim.
Yeah, they're very mysterious.
What is it? The passage in, I think it's in Ezekiel, the ancient aliens people always point to, where they're talking about like God coming down to Earth, and it's got like the Ophanim and everything with like the interlocking spinning wheels and in a great ball of fire and loud metallic clanks, or however they phrase it.
Bees.
And like, oh, it's a ship.
Uh-huh.
I love them.
Well, I love the angels also, and but I mean, I'm
I don't fuck with the angels. I really
I
don't.
know, I know. Well, hey, but see, the
No,
thing of it
man.
is, oh my God, like what's crazy is that I don't know. I'm just very anti Bible. It scares me. I've
Look,
I
do
won't.
you see this on the far right here with
Yeah.
these wings and
What
eyes?
the hell? Ah!
That's a seraphim. That's an angel,
I need to work. I need to call to that thing. He looks kind of scary.
aka an alien. And you think people think demons are scary. Honey. Honey.
Well, I mean, we can't forget that the angels are
Blow
always
it
the
up,
ones
Jasmine.
coming
Let me
in.
see it
They pop onto the
closer.
scene and they're like, "Be not afraid." I'm like, I don't know, bro. You got four heads.
Like, I'm actually kind of very afraid of this. Hold
Blow
on.
it up, sis. Blow it up. Let's see it closer.
Hold on. Do you guys see that?
I can see it. Yeah, I just you can make it bigger. Make it bigger.
Or like this?
Oh God, is that the evil eye? What the world?
That's a seraphim.
mm. You
Right.
don't even like Michael and Raphael?
I don't. I don't fuck with them.
Yeah, no.
He said, "Yeah, no."
I mean, I know there's witches that do work with Saint Michael, and blessed be.
Yeah.
Blessed be on that. No. Just, I would rather make a infernal pact with Fear or Bior or Marchusius or Vapar or even Lucifer herself
hmm
before I work with an angel. Why would I want to work with an extraterrestrial? That shit's weird. It's giving Eldritch.
Interesting. I never thought of Saint Raphael and Michael as being extraterrestrial, but yeah. But then again, I don't think that all ETs are bad. You know what I'm saying? Or no? Okay.
They're angels.
Yeah.
They're angels.
So do you think that they do too much? So do you look at them as like archons, like bad guys?
I do.
Yeah. Interesting.
I mean, have you seen the cherubim?
Yeah, isn't that like that little baby?
No.
Pull it up and show it to me. Cause I've never heard of the cherubim. Like I've heard of it, but I've never actually tripped off of it and went and looked at a picture or a depiction.
So the cherubim are like, they remind me a lot of how some of the demons look, where they're part human, part like animal.
Mm.
But then there's also these cherubim,
Oh.
right?
The cherubim are said to have four heads. One of an ox, one of an eagle, one of a man, and one of a lion. Lion,
Yeah,
ox,
like this
lion.
right here.
Yeah. So like
Wow.
all like the old medieval manuscripts where they have like God on his throne or whatever, they have the Ophanim at his feet, and then sometimes they'll have four of these cherubim, one at each corner, or they'll have one of each animal at each corner representing the cherubim.
Well, and I think the cherubim are like mind controlled by Yahweh to basically sing him praises for all eternity.
Yeah, I think they literally encircle the throne or something like that.
Yeah, they encircle the throne of Yahweh and they constantly sing his name.
Mm-hmm.
Sick.
Oh, God. Does Saint Michael do the same thing?
No, he's an archangel. They're a different. They're different.
Well,
Okay.
and some people think that archangels are like rejected angels. What do you think of that, Monk?
I have not heard that. That archangels are rejected.
Mm-hmm.
What do they mean by rejected? Like,
Like archangel, as in like disfavored.
oh, I have not heard that.
Archangel, as in like they bedded mortal women.
Mm-mm-mm.
Wait, I'm sorry. That is mortal. What?
Like they bedded mortal women. Like they had like a watcher.
Oh, like the Watchers?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I've never heard the. I've always looked at like the Watchers. I looked at that as like a second rebellion. Like, I mean, so what are you, Jazz? What are your thoughts on like Lucifer in terms of the fallen angel lore?
Like what specifically about it?
Like the classic ones of him being like the lead cherubim singing God's glory and then rebelling and leading angels down to earth. Like how do you
Okay,
is
so
that
super controversial.
Mhm.
But I think that I tie it back to the Gospel of Witches
Mhm.
and like Lucifer being raped by Diana and the old gods not finding Lucifer justice. So Lucifer went to Yahweh and Lucifer went to heaven to seek peace away from their transgressor. And they were in heaven and basically realized that Yahweh would not give them that peace either. And so I feel like Lucifer falling from heaven is found in the Gospel of Witches through, like in the Gospel, it talks about Lucifer being the fallen one.
Yeah.
So like that makes perfect sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah. No, and that makes more sense because I mean I'd never really got like a strong, prideful, better than thou type vibe like what the lore of Lucifer from the Abrahamic side of things normally teaches is he was full of pride and wanted to be the next god. And I'm like, I don't get that.
Uh-huh.
I mean, in the Gospel of Witches, Lucifer was raped by his, or raped, I should say, by his mother sister, Diana. Because in the Gospel of Witches, in Aradia, translated by Charles Leland from the Vangelo, it talks about Lucifer being born from Diana.
All right. I think I'm gonna have to get over my hangups with the radio because I saw all the bad press about it, and I'm like, I think I'm just gonna
Okay, what
leave
about
that.
it?
I'm just gonna leave that over there for now.
Okay, but like, what do you think about it is bad? Is it the anti-Semitism?
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
What do you mean? Like pretty bad, like totally off base, bad wrap of the book, or it's pretty.
No, I mean like
featured?
anti-Semitism is horrible, and I think that's Charles Leland's interpretation, and I think it's absolutely valid to not like that text because of its anti-Jewish narrative.
Okay. But I just still need to get over my hang up and read it for myself though, because I've just been I just read the press about it.
I have a question, and this is a very sincere question, and it might be something that me and you have to talk about, Jasmine. But like, do you think that it causes more struggle to work with the angels as well as Lilith and Lucifer and Satan? Is there a way to balance it to where you can work with both. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, my first thought would be like, why?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. But do you think that it holds a person back? Girl, you're gonna have to get your cards out for me. Cause I'm ready to literally just, because I'm gonna be honest with you, Saint Michael is constantly a constant for me.
Girl, not a UFO.
Girl, yeah, it's
I don't know. I'm not the girl
like,
to
do I
talk
need to pick
to.
a
I'm
side
not
or
the girl to
something?
talk to about the angels. I'm just not. And
No,
so
but I'm saying like if you knew somebody that was Luciferian, but they still had this connection to that, to like the what you would consider heaven, like would that create more obstacles than being a good thing? Because honestly, I think of Satan as an angel, not even a fallen angel. Think of Satan as an angel.
I
And
think of Satan as like a title.
Mhm.
oh, do you really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I think of Satan as like the title for the person that runs hell. And I feel like that changes.
Oh, okay. Now, but you do feel that Satan and Lucifer are two different people, right? Or
I think that the devil is earthly. I think that Lucifer is heavenly. And I
yeah.
think that Satan is chthonic. But I think that Satan is a title, not the name of an entity.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that Satan, Lucifer, and the devil make up our unholy trinity, if you will.
Uh-huh. Why do you think so many people that are obviously very unholy hold on to religion and they're like, are
Fear.
you kidding me?
Fear. If they were holding on to religion, then they were born into it, or they were raised in it, or it was pushed on them through their society, and it's fear. It's that little voice in the back of their head that's like, well, what if it is right? I don't want to go to hell. I don't want to burn forever. A lot of it
And-
is a lot of the main control factor is fear mongering. You're going to go to
right.
hell. I mean, it starts with depending on the tradition. It starts when kids are little. You got to get that baby baptized so he doesn't burn in hell if something happens. That's what infant baptism is.
Yeah, fear is actually something that I sense a lot from the religious community, and it drives me insane to the point where I literally just want to cloak myself
Hmm.
in like tar or something and just go into like just nowhere, because it's a horrible feeling.
Yeah.
Um and I didn't really have that religious hold on me per se. But I can imagine the people that have that, and then it being beaten into them, and them being psychologically and emotionally programmed. And that's something that I didn't go through in my household. Thank God,
Yeah.
or thank the goddess rather. Uh, I did have an experience that has stuck with me and I was telling Jasmine's gonna get sick of hearing this story about my pumpkin. The Jehovah's Witness, there was a Jehovah Witness family that was my babysitter, and I was constantly being tortured in some kind of way by these people. But the one that sticks out to me primarily, where there's two things, is around Halloween we made jack-o'-lanterns at school, and they destroyed my jack-o'-lantern. They wouldn't let me bring it into the house. And it was so traumatizing that even when I think about it now, like going outside as a kid and seeing my jack-o'-lantern stomped because they went and they destroyed it while it sat out on the porch. Somebody went and stomped on it.
These were your neighbors?
No, these were my babysitters. I was yeah.
What the fuck?
And it still sticks to me to this day. To this day, like, so I can imagine that if you're living like that in a house, parents are very religious, like, oh my God, my heart goes out to oh God, I couldn't even imagine. And then every horrible thing that's happening to you, there's no justice because God says that there's forgiveness. I'm like, oh my God, like, mm, I couldn't even imagine. Mm. So yeah, and I think, and you know what? And I guess it would take a long time to heal from that kind of trauma if it's like in your household.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Yeah. So that experience just within itself, it was just like, oh my goodness gracious. Cause it just feels like, just chains of like something suffocating you. It's a very suffocating feeling.
Yeah, it can be.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
No way that human beings should be doing that. And Jasmine, I think that Earth is connected to witchcraft. Like Earth is like the whole freaking solar system is witchcraft. It's all connected. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have a wonderful prayer actually from Monk about, is it the Green Madonna? Is that what you call it?
The Wild Madonna?
The Wild Madonna. I love that.
I love her.
Yeah.
But can we touch back on Aradia?
Yes, please.
Can we go back to that?
Yeah.
Because I am currently working on like being a votary of Aradia. So I want to hear about like your thoughts on the gospel because I know it's controversial. Um, can we talk about that, Monk?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, like I'm gonna have to. Right now, my opinion is I need to pick it up, read it, and make my own decisions instead of just reading about it and then making a decision based off of that.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't actually read it, so
There's this prayer that I do with Aradia's name in it, and like the moment I say it, the moment I speak her name, what does her name translate to, Jasmine? Because
It translates to altar, actually.
oh God, no wonder.
Yeah. Like
Because
her name basically means like altar. Because Aradia is the daughter of Lucifer and Diana.
mhm,
Um, and she's also like the witch's messiah or the witch's prophet. Um, and she is the physical incarnation of the goddess Diana. So kind of like how Christians view Jesus as like Jesus is God, but
Mm-hmm.
God is God, and Jesus is Jesus, but Jesus is the Son of God. That's how Aradia is viewed. Like, she is Diana, but she
Mm-hmm.
is Aradia.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very poetic also to think about Diana's different like epithets, like Diana Lucifera,
Mhm.
as in like Diana Lucifer.
Mhm. I love that. It
I
But
reminds
don't
me.
know
also
why I
too,
was thinking
I
she is the
don't,
moon.
and I want to make this clear. I'm not going to defend Charles Leland as a white Victorian man. I'm not here to defend him at all.
Mhm.
And I think that his translation of the Vangelo is problematic. I actually have a document where I've gone through the entire Vangelo and I've translated it myself. And I've also highlighted where I think Charles was having some white Victorian moments. Like when he talks about the black voodoos, for example,
Mhm.
or when he talks about the Zingari or the Jewish people. Obviously, that's fucked up. Okay. And I'm not here to defend that. But I don't think that's Diana or Aradia speaking. I think that's a white Victorian man
Yeah.
speaking.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's not one of the ones that you sent me, is it?
Maybe.
I'll have to scroll back.
Because I have the Gospel of Witches and my annotated version. Because for those of you listening too on this live, the Gospel of Witches is in public domain, meaning it's
Yes.
a free book. So you can get a free PDF version of the Gospel. Don't go on Amazon and buy one. Okay. I have 3. You don't need to.
So, is there a version that you recommend? Because I aren't there different versions of it out, or like different not versions? Oh my god, different
Well, there's different annotated versions.
Okay.
But I would recommend looking at the original.
Okay. I can do that. No, gonna get it right now.
And I'll send you.
You're
I'll
gonna hear
send
me
you
typing,
both.
so sorry.
I'm gonna send you both my annotated version. Right.
There's this prayer that I do to like banish unwanted spirits and stuff, and I use it quite a bit in my practice. Thank you, Jasmine. And it actually invokes Aradia and Cernonos. And the feeling that it gives you, just that grounding feeling, because something is very weird about like the energies on this planet. It just doesn't feel like, it's almost like an invasion. Like when you guys were talking about aliens earlier, like it's something strange about it.
Wow, he talked about the black voodoos right at the beginning.
Yeah. Did you see that?
What's that?
Did you see my annotated version that I sent you?
No, hold on, sorry.
You mean like I sent it to you too?
Yeah, I got it. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, I see it. I got it.
I think Aradia is amazing and I've wanted to work with her, but typically, honestly, and I hope I'm not like quote unquote doing this wrong, but my version of invoking Hecate sometimes is invoking three, maybe even more goddesses at once. It's almost like,
Well, that makes sense because
yeah.
Aradia's mother is Diana, and there's Diana Triformis,
Uh-huh.
which is like literally, it could be Selene, Artemis, Persephone, Hecate, Diana, Demeter, Mother Mary. Like there's a lot that plays into it. So the Dark Mother is Diana, and her daughter is the White Goddess or Aradia.
Uh-huh.
And the charge of the goddess, like that we know from Doreen Valiente, comes from the Gospel of Witches.
Huh.
I just would really like for the goddess to literally destroy this, like Yahweh. Like why don't like why don't they
Well,
just
in Diana, so in the Gospel of Witches, there's also a charge that Diana gives to Aradia, where she specifically tells Aradia, be not like the daughters of Cain.
uh-huh.
Because the daughters of Cain seduced the Watchers, right? Depending on what variation you follow, the Watchers were sent down to earth by Yahweh to watch over mankind. The daughters of Cain were either raped by those angels, which then birthed the Nephilim, the giants, or they seduce the angels to take their power. Diana, in the charge of Aradia, is telling her, be not like the daughters of Cain, in the sense that, like, don't fuck angels. Like, take your power from me and from the moon. Don't take it from the angels.
Interesting.
Interesting, huh? Okay.
That would make a lot of sense.
That's it. You just go for it.
Mm.
But personally, I have a soft spot for the daughters of Cain. Obviously, since I run the Daughters of Cain podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I love them.
Yeah. See, and I'm I'm gonna be reading. Sorry, I got distracted. I got the PDF version. See, and I'm kind of delving into trying to not necessarily follow, but the Cainite sect of the pre-Orthodox heresy, where it's basically looking at the biblical outcasts like Judas, the Witch of Endor, Esau, Cain, as the actual ones that were bearers of mysteries. So the people of the bloodline of Cain are a big soft spot for me too.
Well, and there's like magic in the Gospel of Witches, then that you might be interested in reading about, because it specifically involves cursing Cain to foretell the future. Like basically in the Gospel of Witches, it's like invoke Uncle Cain to make him tell you the truth or curse him into oblivion.
Mm-hmm. I love the title Uncle Cain. Love that.
I mean, basically.
I mean, yeah. Because like the way that, because so didn't the Watchers fell, and or they came to Earth, and the way that I interpreted it was that they took them, what I was told was that they took earthly women as wives, and then they taught the secrets of the cosmos to them.
Yes.
Okay. So I didn't really get the whole graping or anything like that part.
Well, okay. They took them as wives is, I think, a poetic, like, phrase.
Oh, okay.
I don't necessarily think that the daughters of Cain were raped by the Watchers. I think that's what the Quran and Abrahamic style teachings.
Yeah, that's
people
where I was
think.
coming from. Was more of a, well, no.
Right.
I get
No.
what you're trying to do here, folks, but that's not
Well, because the Abrahamic religions make people think that the Watchers were seduced and tempted by the daughters of Cain.
right.
And thus for they were raped by them,
Right.
which I don't support that at all. Like, I
Right.
think the daughters of Cain were thirsty for magic and power and saw these angels and showed their ankles and other bits to them and were like, hey. And they became their polygamist wives and through sex magic learned their mysteries.
Yeah. Yep, that's about more where I was kind of at.
Yeah, no, I was just talking about like the Abrahamic aspect of it.
Yeah, no, I'm following. Sorry, I'm like half distracted. I'm like half reading, but also well, not anymore. I was half reading and half listening. I'm sorry. Yeah.
But yeah, in the gospel it says, you must not be like the daughters of Cain. So I feel like Diana is basically like, don't fuck the angels and take their power. I feel like she's like, get your power from me, your mother. Because later in the gospel, she says, like, curse the priests and bring anyone who does you maledictions to their knees swiftly and without mercy, and do it in my name, your mother, Diana, the queen of witches.
Yeah, I like that.
Which really throws a wrench in the whole bit of like the threefold law. Because a lot of Wiccans are like, oh, the rule of three.
Yeah.
But they take so much from the gospel of witches. And in the gospel, it basically says, do people threefold. If someone does you wrong, do them 3 times the wrong and do it in the name of our mother, Diana.
Yeah.
It doesn't
that goes back to how you were talking about getting your claws back and how witchcraft has been de-wild.
It has.
Yeah.
Has it not?
No, it has. The threefold law and the gospel is a prime example.
But a lot of Wiccans take inspiration from the gospel, but they misappropriate it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's kind of part of my issue too, is like, okay, if you're going to follow a gospel, follow it to a T.
Yeah.
Is that not the point of a gospel? Why are we cherry picking a gospel?
Agendas.
Like, okay, for example, in the Gospel of Aradia, Diana tells Aradia to tell the disciples of the crescent, when a priest shall do ye injury by his benedictions, you shall do him double the harm, and do it in the name of me, Diana, the queen of the witches all. And when the priest or nobility shall say to you that you should put your faith in the Father, the Son, and Mary, reply that your God, the Father, and Maria are the 3 devils. For the true God, the Father, is not yours, for I have come to sweep away the bad. The men of evil I will destroy. Ye who are poor suffer with hunger keen and toil in wretchedness, and suffer too full of imprisonment. Yet with it ye have a soul, and for your sufferings ye shall be happy in the other world. But ill the fate of all who do ye wrong.
Yeah, literally goes against the whole threefold. I love that.
I mean, if Wiccans believe that you can't send negative energy back, or you can't, like,
They do.
no.
They do. They believe in the threefold law.
But if they don't believe that you can actually get justice on what someone has done to you, then that would lead to a lot of trauma.
That's a good point. Cycle
Because
it back.
because you're just like taking everybody's crap and you're just taking it as your own. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Unless you like to eat people's pain, you know, there's some people like that. Just like, somebody, is, and I don't know, like, is that a vampire thing, Jasmine? Because, like,
It
angry,
definitely is. Come
yeah,
on.
angry. It's just like, yeah, come on, give me some more. Yeah, come on. You angry? Oh, that's so.
But also Monk, like, wrote that story about the lights, and like the broken horn.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So she who fain would learn all sorcery, yet has not won its deepest secrets. Within them, my mother will teach her, in truth, all things as yet unknown. Ye shall be freed from slavery, and ye shall be free in everything. And as a sign that ye are truly free, ye shall be naked in your rights, both men and women. This shall last until the last of your oppressors are dead, and then make the game of Benevento, extinguishing the lights, and after that hold your supper thus. Like, I feel like your story
Oh, shit. Yeah.
is very that.
Yeah.
Because the game of Benevento and the Tragunda within the witch's gospel is about holding rights of Diana, having adult relations under the full moon, having a bonfire, and taking sheepskin and whipping it for fertility, until all the candles are blown out.
Yeah, I can see the I can see the correlation for sure. That's very much that. Literally under the moon, naked. Yeah, candles, torches, everything.
I would love to hear your interpretation of the gospel.
Mine?
Yeah.
Right now?
Well, no, I'm not saying like right this minute, but it's only 88 pages.
Yeah, I'm flipping through. I'm literally going back and forth between the StreamYard screen and I'm literally just scrolling through.
I made a whole document where I annotated my interpretation. And it took me like a full Saturday to like go through it and like actually annotate it. And I sent both of you like my interpretation
Yes,
on
thank you for
Facebook
that.
Messenger and on Instagram. But yeah, no, I'm not saying like tell me what you think right now.
I was gonna say because I can read quick, but not that quick.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in general,
Yep.
like read the gospel because it is so problematic. And I think that we all, Yamila, you too, as modern witches, need to analyze this from our modern perspective, you know?
Mhm. I do
Yeah.
have to say that I love that chapter 14 is called The Goblin Messengers of Diana and Mercury.
Yeah, there's a lot of fairy lore.
Love that. All right. Heal the earth, which is in darkness and gloom. Oh, Jesus.
There's also like summoning the red goblin from hell.
Ooh, cool.
I can't read nothing tonight. It's almost 1 o'clock here, so I'm just like a vegetable right now.
No, I hear you.
Oh goodness.
Well, why don't we end this live? Because we have been live for like 2.5 hours.
Yes, time flies when you're having fun.
Truly. And thank you, Monk, for coming on.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't really say a whole lot.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you, Monk.
It was nice meeting you too.
I love
Okay.
this, Jasmine. We need to do this more often.
Yes, and Monk, come on more often.
Well, I will. I have a project that I'm working on. It's going to be an extended project, but I am planning on posting a reading of one of the first apocryphons that I have written over on my channel, which you can
Please.
follow from over there. It's the Apocryphon of Cain, and it actually talks a little bit about the Watchers, and just very, very briefly at the end. It's kind of a mixture of folkloric studies, canonical, non-canonical scriptures, a little bit of traditional witchcraft inspiration, all kind of hodgepodged into a wonderful modern growing collection of heretical folklore for Kenyan witches.
And I feel so blessed that I've been able to read some of your gospel.
Yeah, thank you.
Because it's absolutely giving.
Thank you.
It's an absolute serve.
Thank you. Thank you.
Packing
I'm
my
very,
acrylics.
very, very excited about the one that I'm working on now. I feel like this one is going to be a season long working on. The Cain was not so long. It's just finishing up the details, but I'm a scribe for a reason.
Well, let's all do this again sometime soon, please.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you all for joining, and blessed be. And until next time, we will see you in hell.
See you in hell.
Bye.